Welcome back, everybody. In my last video I was trying to figure out what the annoying squeal coming from the back of my 2020 Toyota 4Runner was. Turned out when I was going in reverse, pretty bad squeal. Going forwards it was non-existent. Turned out it was one of the fitting pieces for the disc brakes in the rear. I knew they were getting low, but they had actually wore themselves out, so said I'd do another video once I got the parts. This is replacement tools that are needed, not necessary. Impact, power ratchet, breaker bars, 21 mil socket for the wheel lugs, 17 millimeter socket for the caliper bolts. Parts list: OEM rear brake pads, new fitting kit, new shim kit, and then the caliper hardware kit that has new boots for the slide pins, and it has new seals for the caliper piston. Opening angle turns out okay. I did a video on a brake replacement on my Lexus LS 430, and the main comment was my head was in the way the entire time. So I fashioned up a little tripod mount. Hopefully it gives you a better angle. Before I did anything, I had already broke the lug nuts free, jacked up the vehicle, and secured it on jack stands. Kind of doing this at the edge of my garage because it has been raining pretty much non-stop for 3 days. And my car does not fit in my garage with my rooftop tent. I decided not to do the rotors. These brakes were actually replaced just over a year ago at the dealership, but they used the lower quality pads and they wore out in about 15 months. $17 millimeter bolt holding the caliper. A little bit of muscle. I don't have any. Some people replace the slide pins. I already had these apart. They're in pretty good shape. I'm just going to clean them up. Knew they range anywhere from $11 to $15 online, and I wasn't spending an extra $60 just for new pins. There's plenty of people out there that have used the same pins for a decade and had no problems with them. Having a bungee cord handy makes holding the caliper up and out of the way nice. You should just pull right off. Pistons are in pretty good shape. I'm just going to hang this up out of the way. All kinds of dirt and grime in here because it's doing a little off-roading this past weekend, which is actually what made me find this problem. I was told a couple months ago when I got my inspection that the pads were wearing uneven. You can see that it doesn't look too bad. It was the inboard pads that were really showing the wear. Look at how uneven that is. Hopefully you can pick it up in the video. So of course people said it could be a stuck slide. So I'm going to clean this up Hit it with a little bit of a wire brush. I'm replacing these. Gonna get a pair of pliers and pull them out. My needle nose pliers walked off, so I'm just gonna use an adjustable set. That's all they are. That one just broke. I'm gonna get something and push it out from the back side. And if I actually paid attention and wasn't a dumb moron, I'd realize that that didn't break. The top one is just half-sized. I didn't do any damage to that. It'll be alright. I'm going to get these cleaned up a little bit before I put the new ones in. Just hit everything with a little wire brush. There's not necessarily anything wrong with the fitting kit that's on it now, but for the cost, I am just replacing them. They've been on there for 140,000 miles now. I'm just taking them off. I don't know if there's a difference in them. I want to make sure I got the same ones in the same spot. So there are different ones in here. Every one I've pulled out so far is the wrong one. There we go. These just snap down in the little groove here. Nothing really to clean up on it. There's the top one. That's all that's to it. Here's what they look like mounted up. Got to double check to make sure that one's in place, but I don't want to cut you off on the camera. Got our brake pads and our new Shim kit out. A little bit of difference in the pads. I'm going to get the hardware swapped over, or at least check the hardware out. I'll get this on video for you here in a moment. Order to mount these. You can reuse the shims, but I wasn't sure of the condition of them, and this kit was 15 bucks. It has new shim back plates, new clips in it. Here's where you need to be careful with Toyota parts. The original factory pads are made by Akebono, better quality. The ones that they lovely put on my car and covered it under the warranty are not. Different brand, similar part number, but Toyota sells a quality OEM pad and what I think they consider a green alternative. Swapped over the new clip. These shims are pretty much identical I don't think there's any difference. They could have even reused my factory ones. But like I said, for the cost, I'm just putting the new ones on it. They just hook onto the plate. There's a couple retaining clips that hold it in there, and that's all that's to it. I'm going to get the other one put together and I'll show you putting them in here. It's always a good idea to grease the back of the pads. I just use this Permatex synthetic brake parts lubricant. I also put a little bit of lube where the pads slide back and forth. Not a lot, but just something to help them slide and release. Just want to apply a thin coating to the back of the pad. It's way more than I need, so I'm going to apply that one to the other pad while I have it on my glove. You really only need a little bit. Pad without the clip goes on the front. Kind of got to feed it in from the front and then twist it in place. Pads are in place. I'm going to replace these boots. You want to be careful when putting these in that you're not tearing them. I have a longer, you could use a screwdriver. You don't want to use anything that's real narrow that's going to point through it, so I have a pretty thick one. It's through. And I've replaced the rear brakes. Well, I've replaced rear brakes before, not on this. I never realized these were two separate sizes. Now, since we had old pads and rotors, in order to get this caliper to fit, we're going to have to depress the piston. They make special tools for it. I was taught to use a brake pad. So we're just going to put a brake pad in there. I know it's not the right way. And my handy dandy C-clamp. Just going to gently compress it. And it's going to slide the piston back into the caliper. I love having an extra hand. I'm going to try to keep it centered. Not sure if we're still on camera or not. There we're going in. compressed all the way. This boot is in pretty good shape. The kit comes with a new one. Just getting a little extra brake dust out of there. And the caliper just slides right back over. Want to make sure our dust boots are lined up. Might have to compress them in just a little bit. And then I'm going to clean these slide pins off. Just a little bit of brake parts cleaner. If there was corrosion on it, could hit them with some steel wool or a Scotch-Brite pad. There's just a little bit of discoloration on them from the grease that I had on them before. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with reusing these. I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on these as well. Off the top of my head, I do not remember the torque specs on these. I will post it on the screen and also in the video description. After you're all complete, you definitely want to... Sorry for the pause there. The Amazon guy showed up with another mystery delivery from my wife. I'll get the torque specs posted in the description. Other than that, torque them down. You definitely want to break them in, bed the pads. Find another video on how to do that. Basically, you want to accelerate, jam on the brakes, accelerate, jam on the brakes, accelerate, jam on the brakes, just to get the brakes and the pads nice and hot. Rotors are still in good shape, but that's how you change the rear pads on a 5th gen Toyota 4Runner. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. Thanks for watching.